Welcome, everyone. Hope you had a wonderful day yesterday. We had lots of fun, great speakers, and we're ready for another jam-packed session today, well, for most of the day, because I think we end at 3 something. So yeah, great. So today, first session here with Liam, Minor, one N.
Yep, one N.
From Optimizely. So you're a senior lead engagement manager from Optimizely, which is a global leader in digital experimentation. And he manages the company's professional services projects across all of EMEA. So in his capacity as engagement manager, he looks after client relationships and portfolios for startups, scale-ups, and large enterprises. About 50 to 70 customers at any one time, I believe. And you've got a team of about 6 that you manage. You're an American expat, love Amsterdam, and enjoys football, live music, and lots of traveling. So yeah, we welcome you today, and we look forward to hearing more about culture matters, which is something I love to learn about or talk about.
Thank you, Estelle. That's a wonderful and I very much appreciate it. So I hope everyone has had their coffee and is excited to go and really jump in today. We are going to have this as a very interactive session. So I hope everyone is ready to engage. This is not your normal kind of morning session where you can sit and just listen to content. We're really going to be talking about culture matters and in particular around the mission, vision, values process. Because of the way that Hopin works, we're going to be doing a lot of this via the chat. So I hope everyone's ready. I also am personally the type of person that likes to write things down. So if you have a pen and paper, it is wonderful to utilize those. But we're going to actually be engaging with one another quite often throughout the chat today. In terms of the agenda, I want to do some brief introductions, actually get to know one another. Because we're a big group, I normally like to do these in person and at small tables where we can really be engaging. Now, as I mentioned, we'll have to do this via chat. So everyone get ready in just a moment to start typing and introducing yourselves. I want to give a quick primer for all of you on what is culture. And then we're going to talk about the mission, vision, values process. We are then going to get deep into each one of these topics. So we're going to talk about mission. Why does your company exist? Your vision statement. What do you aspire to be? Values. What's core to your DNA? And then how does your mission statement relate to the values of building, a mission statement of values, relate to building a winning team? If we have time, we'll talk about some of the potential pitfalls to a winning company culture. And we will discuss, if time allows, a case study that I think might be really interesting for everyone around Netflix. You'll see lots of blue prompts on the next few pages. Those are action prompts. So we will use the chat functionality and other functionality to really engage with one another and talk as we kind of get ready to go this morning and really jump into day 2 of the BASE conference. I've put this page up just on the top right around, or this image around culture and some of the things on the outside of the organizational levers. A lot of those we'll be talking about today. In the inside, things like knowledge, motivation, accountability are more of the internal levers to success. So I do want to do a quick introduction. Estelle gave a wonderful introduction for me, and I love the way that you looked, Estelle, when you said the global leader in experimentation services. So what I do and what my background is in management consulting, and that tends to be a pretty large scale term, but I've focused on customer experience analytics and really driving organizational change. And that's really where my focus and my love for culture and the concept of culture within organizations really took hold. And I did a number of large scale consulting projects for larger enterprises around cultural shifts that they wanted to make. I've shifted a few years ago into really focusing on scale ups and startups and around the digital space and improving their digital artifacts. So I do work in A/B testing as a concept. So changing experiments and running experiments and changing content on customers' websites. And I think culture fits in nicely with a lot of the teams that I'm working with. I will say that there's no one I think that is a true expert in culture, because culture is very personal. It's what you care about and what your organization or the place that you work for cares about. So that's why today I really want to talk about what matters to you, what matters to your organization, what matters to your company. And let's get to know one another through this community around how we all envision these cultural shifts moving forward in the here and now, and really also moving forward. I'll say personally, my company has a really strong mission statement, and I'll talk a lot about that throughout the presentation today and the discussion in the workshop we're having. And I'll get more in depth around some of the conversations, especially that my company has gone through in the last few months, especially as it's related to COVID and layoffs. And we've gone through a couple of layoffs, and how does that impact culture? And I'm really excited to hear from you all and hear what you all, how you all view culture as well. So what I love is in order to get to know you all, if you could put in the chat, do you run your own business or work for a larger business? Does your business have more than 10 employees? So is it rather small, or is it a larger scale up? Do you know your company's mission statement? Surprising amount of people do not know their company's mission statement. Do you know your company's vision statement? And do you know your company's values? And we talk about, do you believe in them in a moment, but I do want to talk about, do you know them at the outset? So let's use the chat for the next couple of minutes just to get to know one another and talk about who you are. Do you run your company, or do you work for larger companies? And do you know your company's mission, vision, and values? So Kathy, nonprofit in Amsterdam, community radio station, wonderful. Annabette, news to NL, help me custodies, yep. Very value focused. Commercial director for a printing company, JP. Done for the last few years. Kathy, struggling to manage expectations in a volunteer organization. Team members, not sure that team members fully understand culture. That's quite true. I know that from experience. How do you own your own business? Small team of 6. Mission is keep people caffeinated. Love that mission, Heidi, especially this early in the morning, with the best coffee at great prices. We're going to have to talk afterwards about what the best coffee is and the prices. I'm always looking for the best brew. Anyone else? Let's warm up those fingers this morning. JP, I know the struggles with COVID. That's, I think, near and dear to everyone's heart, and especially how do you keep culture alive whilst going through an economic downturn? And that's something I think we want to highlight today as well. Keep introducing yourselves. If we can focus on, do you run your own company? Do you have a larger business? Do you have more than 10 employees? What's your mission statement? What's your vision statement? And what are your values? And I'm going to get into that in just a moment, but feel free to use the chat to introduce yourselves. I do want to mention at the outset, before we really jump into this session and before we talk together about each one of those topics, mission, vision, and values, I want to talk about some of the 4 core types of organizational change, organizational culture, excuse me. There's a lot of ways of analyzing culture. Lots of sociologists and psychologists and HR professionals have analyzed culture and really thought about what organizational culture really means. The way that I've seen it is I've seen kind of 4 key cultural approaches. There is the clan culture. That's when people believe in the product. You really feel like a family together. There's excitement to come to work in the morning. It's really the all for one and one for all culture. And it's something I think many companies aspire to. There is the adhocracy culture. I think this one's a really interesting culture because this is very risk-taking, thinking outside the box, innovative, entrepreneurial. A lot of early stage entrepreneurs and scale-ups, I tend to think fit into this mold, especially those that are seeing success. You really have to think outside of the box and bring in the kind of best that you have to offer. Next, there's market-based culture. Focused on market trends, risk averse sometimes, conservative and competitive, highly results driven. Large corporates sometimes tend to fit into this bucket. So much larger organizations that you can think of, the big banks, et cetera, those that are publicly traded because they're on a quarter by quarter basis with their investors. We tend not to see smaller startups and scale-ups be as market focused, albeit you have to have a bit of a focus on the market, in particular, know your customers and understand the product that you have. And then the final culture is the hierarchical culture. I really hope a lot of scale-ups don't have this. This tends to happen as you scale and as you get much bigger. I know my company, as a late stage scale-up with around 400 employees, we've started to get more hierarchical in the last about year or two, even though we always talk about the fact that we are not hierarchical and that we don't want to be hierarchical. So it's really interesting when companies start to talk that talk, but might not necessarily be walking that walk. And I think it's a daily reminder that we have to really focus on. Here's a graph that I'll keep up for you all down the road, and we can certainly talk more about where does your business fit into this as we're going through this process. I do find it incredibly important to talk about what makes up culture. So what do we really see in culture? And the iceberg analogy I find to be really appropriate. There are things you can see in a company culture, and there's things you can't. The things that you can see include physical space. What's your office look like? Do you have enough plants in the office? Do you have an open office environment versus a closed off environment? Does everyone have their own office space versus are you hot desking and kind of working around? Are you in a co-working space? Are you engaging with those around you? So that's really the physical office. What's the language used by the company? External language. How do you correspond with your customers? Are you very laid back and try to be their friend? Are you very corporate in your approach? What language do you use internally? Is there a lot of kind of words of encouragement and love? Is there more harsh tones? And finally, benefits. How do you reward your team, your colleagues? What are they coming to work for outside of the purpose, which we'll talk about in certainly a moment. Those are above the surface. Those are things you can normally see. They're more tangible. The intangibles are where I really want to spend our time today. That is your mission. What do you want to do here and now? What's your company? What's your purpose? What are you really trying to achieve? What is your long-term vision? Where are you trying to go? What are your values? And I think already from the chat, I'm seeing a lot of really interesting companies, from volunteerism to psychology to HR professional to, building a coffee business to news to NL, bringing international individuals to Amsterdam and helping them assimilate to the culture. Lots of different approaches that probably fit your vision. And we'll get into that in a moment. And then hopefully fit your vision. What's long term? Where are you trying to be in 5 years? And I really want to get into the nitty gritty with that in a moment and have everyone share that. So I hope everyone's ready to really engage with that and start thinking about it and sharing those. Before we jump into the mission, vision, values process, are there any questions about kind of what's below the surface, above the surface, or the 4 organizational cultural fits? All right, so let's jump into the fun stuff then. The mission, vision, values process. There are lots of processes to analyzing culture, and I want to be very clear that you can't solve culture in an hour. You can't solve culture quickly. Culture is a very iterative approach that you need to have with yourself and with the people around you, the employees around you, your organization, whether it's a one-person organization, a sole proprietorship, or it's a larger scale organization, so a much larger team, and you're in a mid-stage or late-stage scale-up. Really want to think about what matters to you. So your mission statement, if we think really clearly about what that means, that is, where are you right now? Why do you exist? What's your core purpose? It's normally best stated in the present tense. what are you doing here and now? Your vision statement is your desired state. It's ultimately where do you want to be? Where do you want to go? It can be future tense. It's aspirational. And your values are how you want your staff to behave and interact. What's the guiding principles of your organization? Because these three statements are really foundational and fundamental to an effective strategic plan, it really, really is important to take your time to get it right. I would be very cognizant, especially in the short time we have with each other today, that we don't get stuck in wordsmithing and lose sight and the momentum of really just kind of conceptualizing your thoughts and working through your thoughts, whether that be individually or together with a group. So I really want to work on these together. I want to spend some time doing that. So we're first going to jump into talking about our mission statements and really having hopefully some fun with it. So what makes a good mission statement? I think first things first, it needs to be concise, 2 to 3 sentence max. You really should not have a long mission statement. I've seen some companies that have mission statements that continue as a few pages of their mission statement. It really should be quick. Clear business goals. What is your company trying to achieve? What are your goals? What makes you unique? What are your core competencies? Why do you exist? Think about that. You want to motivate colleagues, motivate yourself as well. What will get you out of bed in the morning? And then audience. I think this is one that we tend to forget about. Who are you speaking to? Who are your customers? And who are your employees? So I want to have some fun right now in showing some companies that you may know. And I want to actually have us guess the mission statements and who these companies are. So the first company you may know mission statement, the Earth's most customer-centric company, where customers can find and discover anything they want to buy online. Does anyone want to proffer a guess as to what company, large logo that you can think of, that might be? Estelle guessed eBay. Heidi, Amazon. Any other thoughts? Estelle, Amazon. Yep, good point. Anyone else? We have a couple for Amazon. And it's Amazon. That's great. Although Bowl.com, I think could be rather interesting. It is Amazon, albeit it sounds like the mission of Google as well. Now this next one, slightly related, to give people the power to share and make the world more open and connected. Anyone think of what that one might be? Connected world. Heidi, I think that's spot on with YouTube. It sounds like YouTube. Kathy, TikTok, yes, that could certainly be. JP, FB, Twitter, NS, all great guesses. It is, in fact, Facebook. And then the final one we'll guess is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. Organizing all information, make it accessible and useful. Any thoughts on that? Wikipedia and Oracle, those are great guesses. And I bet, Estelle, you are spot on with Google. There's some other ones I just wanted to flash on screen and mention to get you all thinking about the concept of your mission statement. Starbucks, inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, one neighborhood at a time. Think about that one as it relates to, the fact that they're talking audience, the neighborhood. They're focused on local business. One cup, so they're talking about their coffee, and one person they're trying to connect and humanize. Patagonia, the clothing company. The best product, cause no unnecessary harm, use business to inspire and implement solutions to the environmental crisis. Royal Dutch, to safely make and distribute energy, petrochemical companies while offering innovative value-added services. And Advanced Auto Parts, a company most of you probably do not know. It's an American company that focuses on auto parts. The reason I'm showing it today is because even though it's a bit wordy and lengthy, it really does cover the business strategy. So really telling customers what you're trying to do. They're providing personal vehicle owners and enthusiasts with the vehicle-related products and knowledge that fulfill their wants and needs at the right price. Friendly, knowledgeable professional staff will inspire, educate, and problem solve for our customers. So those are a number of examples. What I want you all to do now is really write down your mission statement. If you already have one, write that down. If you don't, I want to spend 5 minutes of thinking time to write it down. And I will talk through my own personal mission statement as well in just a moment, but I want everyone to spend just a few minutes. I don't want to rush this, to think about a sentence or two that really reflects what you are, who you are as an organization, and try to make it as concise, clear business strategy, motivate colleagues and audience, and then we'll talk about it. JP, thanks for going first. Give until 25 after the hour, and then we'll discuss. Wonderful. So let's discuss. And at the outset, I want to say that there is no easy way to create a mission statement. It can't really be done quickly. Now, I'm a proponent, and Estelle, I see your comment that you're working through it as an organization, not ready to share. that, completely agree with that. And these type of mission statements normally take a long time to create because you really do want to think deeply. You don't want to rush to creating a mission statement. You want to really making sure that it's impactful because you want to use this mission statement in your day-to-day conversations internally and externally. You really want to live by this mission statement. With that said, I always think it's great to get something on paper. Just start to write down and think about what do you care about? What are your core competencies? What do you really do throughout a day-to-day? And personally, I have two mission statements. I've got a company mission statement and a personal mission statement. My personal philosophy or mission statement is learn something new every day. And at the end of the day, give more back to the world than when you enter. And my company's mission statement is it's our ability to ambition to create critical experimentation infrastructure for product development teams. So that's the audience, product development teams, helping them move fast and deliver with confidence. So motivate, clear audience, clear business strategy. I love, Esteban, that you're saying, yeah, your personal mission statement is your company mission statement. That's so true with sole proprietors, with individuals, freelancers. You really have to live by Hasiba. Yes, you have to live by your mantra. This is something that's incredibly important for you. I love and I bet helping families navigate the Netherlands with ease, with a strong focus on education. So you're stating who your audience is, the families that are coming to the Netherlands, how you're kind of motivating or what's your business strategy. Strong emphasis on education, helping them assimilate, and it's very concise. Heidi providing coffee lovers with great coffee at a great price. So that's your almost your slogan: great coffee, great price, regardless of where they are on their adventure with coffee. Definitely like that. JP, support organizations by printing and boxing their communications and present their products. So organizations are your audience. Those are your focus, but probably large and small organizations, and you're helping them with their communication and boxing strategies. Dawn, create common understanding of multinational employees and international organizations. Love that. You're really focused on helping these multinational employees have a better understanding of these organizations. I think all of these are incredible. Kathy, provide accessible English language information and lifestyle content for all of Amsterdam. Such a needed process right now, especially for this very multinational city, mainly for the benefit of international residents who have not yet mastered the Dutch language. That's unfortunately myself included, albeit I am working on my Dutch competency. I hate to rush away from mission statements. I wish I could spend a full hour talking about mission statements, but I think having the full mission, vision, values process, even though we're going to speed through it today, is important for you all to take away and just think about, what do you have as a mission statement? What are your core competencies? Do you have a vision statement? What are you aspiring to be? And values? I think it's always important to bring this to the table and really focus on it. So we are going to jump to the vision statement, even though I would love to spend more time on just talking about your mission statement. I will leave you with a quote by Mahatma Gandhi on mission statements: small body of determined spirits fired by an unquenchable faith in their mission can alter the course of human history. So a little bit of a pick-me-up for early morning. What are important aspects of your company vision? So there's a few keys to a good company vision. In particular, there are three. First one is be bold. Your vision is your aspirational statement. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to take your business and your company and yourself as well? Motivating. Clarify your company direction clearly. Inspire others. Help them understand what gets you out of bed in the morning. And purpose-driven. Your colleagues, your friends, your customers should feel connected to your company. Without a vision, your energy runs out quickly. I don't know if you all have felt sometimes getting out of bed and sometimes going into work is difficult in the morning. You're saying, oh, I've got a bad day at work. Think about your vision statement. Where do you want to be? What are you working 40 plus hours a week for? What are you striving to do? And whether you're a large enterprise or a sole proprietor, if everyone's connected to that vision statement, it's almost like having a bit of caffeine or coffee. You're really getting energized. You're feeling the long-term vision. So I want to talk through vision statements. We're going to think about and write one together. But first, I want to do a fun little exercise similar to what we did before on companies you may know. Let's guess this one. Their aim is to be the leading brewer in each of the markets in which they operate and have the world's most valuable brand portfolio. Can anyone guess which company that might be? Leading brewer in each of the markets they operate, world's most valuable brand portfolio. Heidi guess Heineken. Kathy also thinks Heineken. Budweiser, yep. AB InBev. Louis Vuitton is part of it, yeah. The French, I can't remember which one you're referring to, JP, although it looks like Heidi has found it. It is Heineken. You'll sense my bias now living in Amsterdam. That's their vision statement. They want to be the best in every market. I like this vision statement because it's bold, motivating, but also it focuses on where they are. Yes, they want to expand, but they want to really be the best of the best where they are. And so it's forward thinking of how do they get to the best, but also thinking a little bit outside of the box and where they are now and what they want to do within each one of these markets to continue to be the best. Next vision statement, provide access to the world's information in one click. Heidi thinks Google, JP Verizon, Wikipedia, and I bet. Kathy thinks Google. Bing, good thought with Bing. Some of you guessed it. It is Google. They really want to be a one-click shop. And if you think about it, once you go to Google, you type in your search and you click, and their algorithm, everything that they're doing is based on ideally making you not have to move beyond the first page, and not have to do really any more than one click. So they're really hoping to achieve that by putting all of the world's information at your fingertips. Next one, to be the world's best quick service restaurant experience. Being the best means providing outstanding quality, service, cleanliness, and value, so that will make every customer in every restaurant smile. I want to be the world's best quick service restaurant. A couple people have said McDonald's. Pret, Kathy said. Mickey D. KFC. I may have made these too easy. This is McDonald's, the Golden Arches. The smile in my mind, if any of you all know McDonald's, potentially gave it away, as that's one of their big slogans with Ronald McDonald and his big yellow smile. So the Golden Arches. Interestingly, they always call themselves a quick service instead of fast food. It sounds better in terms of copywriting, which is a concept we talked about yesterday a lot during a number of the speaker number of speaker sessions. And I bet I would agree. I always smile when I see that they want to be the best in terms of outstanding quality. This is why it's a vision statement, though. It's something aspirational for them to really work towards as their quality, depending on where they are in the world, is potentially lackluster. They are the world's leading quick service or fast food restaurant. Technically not the most branches or actually retail outlets, but they are, I think, in terms of revenue, the world's largest. Definitely focus. And I love that you brought it up, Hasiba, on good marketing. It's just their marketing. The vision statement is supposed to be bold and aspirational. It might not necessarily be the most true here and now, but it's where you want to be. And that's what we really need to focus on. A few other companies you may know, Royal Dutch Shell. To make the difference through our people, a team of dedicated professionals who value customers, deliver on promises, and contribute to sustainable development. Again, that's where they aspirationally want to be. Whether that is where they've been here and now after some of the oil spills is a different story. Heinz, the food manufacturer, they want to be the world's best premier food company, offering nutritious, superior tasting foods to people everywhere. Disney, I love. Make people happy. That's very concise. That's, their goal is just to make people happy. It is purpose driven. It's not as kind of a clear business strategy, but again, this isn't your mission statement. This is where you want to be. So really your goal, what are you striving towards? What gets you out of bed? What are customers going to see? What do they resonate with? And Amazon, our vision is to be the Earth's most customer-centric company, to build a place where people can find and discover anything they might want to buy online. Lots of different examples to pull from. I'd love it if we all took 5 minutes, so till 40 after, and write in the chat when you have it, but write a 1 to 2 sentence vision statement. Where do you personally want to be, or where does your company want to be? And potentially they're one and the same. And then let's talk through them. What are our vision statements collectively? Question, Pat. Is there a timetable to realize goals? As you can see from some of these, the vision statements tend to be open. And so they don't put a timetable saying, I want to do something within 5 years. I want to do something within 10 years. I tend to think that a lot of what I have seen in the industry is that, where do your company want to be long-term, but really, in the next 3 to 5 years for a scale up. That tends to be what I've seen as the timeline, especially from a financial perspective. Do you want to take the next step in your career? Do you want to take the next step as an organization, or are you going to be treading water and then maybe thinking of pivoting your own career? So it tends to be 5 years is where I personally think, but your vision statement could be long-term. Where do you want to be in 30 years? Or it could be short-term. Where do you want to be next year? It's all in the eye of the beholder, all up to you. Just a few more seconds, then we'll share together. It could be anything. Again, your vision statement is very personal for you. Maybe it's your own vision statement. Your company might already have one. Where do you want to be? What's your goal? So time conscientious, let's talk through these together for the next few minutes. Then we'll talk through values and see how much time we have left after that. I have a personal vision as well as an ideal vision from me personally. My personal vision is to have a tangible positive impact on the world within the next 5 years. And I haven't defined yet what that tangible positive impact is. I'm still searching for exactly what I want that impact to be, but I am kind of very conscious and thinking about that. My company's vision is to be the global leader in A/B testing with an easily addressable market that we've helped develop. I've seen a few really interesting visions here. Hasiba, I would love to be an agency with an awesome team behind my brand, and then content marketing agency to really, with that team that's bolstering it. So it's both the team focus as well as the content marketing. JP, 5 years, best printer company for the base of 30 families, so growing, almost doubling the size, and a haven for prospects and companies, and also having your wife and 2 girls join you. I think that's a wonderful aspirational goal, and hopefully something you can achieve soon. And I bet making sure every international child in the Netherlands flourishes at finding the best fitting school. So important in this day and age, especially early development being critical to long-term success. Christina, like to be the best partner when it comes to tech recruitment for startups and scale-ups in the Netherlands. Love that. So it's almost thinking, right now you want to be the best partner and also hopefully have them then help you grow your company and your organization, because you're partnering with them. They then will give you referrals and help really build your network. So that's a really great aspirational goal in many respects. And Heidi, I love the go-to marketplace, the go-to buyer and seller for large and small makers of quality coffee, really connecting. And I'm guessing that connective tissue between small producers around the world and buyers and lovers of coffee. Don, like to create an international network for both for-profit and not-for-profit organizations that consult with me periodically to help guide in having healthy, productive internal communication. And I love that your vision it's clear on the network that you want to create for these for-profits and not-for-profits, but also the fact that you're really thinking about changing the way that they're communicating internally to make it healthier and more productive. It's a wonderfully aspirational goal and something I think all of us hope that you achieve. Any other final thoughts on vision statement? Is there anything else of where you all want to be in the next few years? All right, let's talk through one area that I think tends to be, in some ways, the easiest and in some ways the hardest. And that's your company values. What are the keys to company values? So there are a few keys I think that everyone should continue to think about. You want to be aggressively authentic. I like the word aggressively here because you really need to be thoughtful about what do you really value. Not what do you say you value, but what do you value? What's important to you? Keep the list short. 5 to 7 values are the sweet spot. Maybe 3. I've seen some as short as 1 or 2 values, but you don't want a list of 15 values because it's not as concise as what you need. And leaders should own the process. I think an interesting quote I want to share with you is from the Harvard Business Review from Harvard University in the US that says, value initiatives have nothing to do with building consensus. I think this is potentially something that we can debate, but they're about imposing a set of fundamental, strategically sound beliefs on a broad group of people. Now, the reason they're saying that, and the reason that I've researched what they're trying to mean is they're trying to mean that we do need to build consensus, even though they say we don't. We do need to build a community where everyone feels that the values are heard, but we also need someone to take ownership and leadership of that. And we need, you sometimes can't have consensus across a large group of people. So as you scale, as you build up, it's very hard to keep that consensus alive. And we see that quite often in value struggles within scale-ups as they get beyond a team of 4 or 5 and they're really going to 10, 15, 20, 100 people, they struggle as they bring in more processes, more HR focus. And they really have a challenge as they scale in keeping the values alive. And I'll talk in a couple of slides about some of the potential ways to remediate that and really keep a winning process, but certainly something to think about as you're creating a value-based process. I want to talk through just some of the companies you may know before we kind of go through this process ourselves. And I hope you already have some values, and I hope you're already thinking about these. Netflix, they have 9 core values: judgment, communication, impact, curiosity, innovation, courage, passion, honesty, and selflessness. Adidas, performance, passion, integrity, and diversity. Facebook, move fast, focus on impact, be bold, be open, build social value. H&M, believe in people, one team, straightforward, open-minded, keep it simple, entrepreneurial spirit, constant improvement, cost consciousness. And Enron. I love to put this one up here. I don't know how much everyone knows about Enron. Enron is a major global energy company that went bankrupt in the early 2000s for having a kind of major accounting scandal and really illegal practices. And their 4 core values are communication, respect, integrity, and excellence. So I think it's hard to say that there is integrity, at least in the upper echelons and in the accounting team for Enron, after looking at the scandal that plagued the company. And I'd love to hear more about what that work entailed for Enron and how that went over. But I think values are incredibly important. They're incredibly important not just to have on paper. Don't just put them down as, we believe in integrity, we believe in passion, but something to live by. What do you care about? Because it's important to share it with yourself. It's important to share it with the community at large. If you have a strong value statement, people want to work with you and your customers want to hire you. So it's great for your employees. It's great for your customers. I want to do something a little different in terms of values. In the chat, what are some of the things that are important to you personally? And I know that there's a few of us. Siba, you said that you're definitely a sole proprietor. It's just you right now. For those of you that are, it's just a sole proprietor, these hopefully the company values and your values should blend. I think it's a really interesting exercise. We don't have full time to do it today, but really interesting to think about, what do you personally value? What are 3 to 5 things you value most? What is your company value? And then do those 2 align? Because if there's a mismatch, you might not be working for the right company. Let's take a few minutes to write those out. And if you actually want to jot a list down in the chat of personal values and company values, that would be great. Or at least focus on the company value portion and put a few of those. Again, max is normally 5 to 7. 3 is a great place to start as well. Let's take a couple minutes to do that. While you're jotting down some values, Pamela, you asked, are there particular ways to switch from paper to having an impact? On the next slide, I'll talk through a bit around what I personally have seen work in the organizations that I've worked with and for. I would say at the outset, though, it really requires you to be conscious about the values you're putting on paper. Are those values you want to live by? So you shouldn't just have platitudes out there to put on the door as you walk into the organization to say, we care about X. They really need to be stuff that you live by. And you can see that with how the company interacts with its employees, how the company is perceived on things like Glassdoor or other areas. Do they live up to their values? You can see that in the way that the companies bring in different speakers, different ways to really engage with their customers and their employees. And how often are they really meeting to talk about values? And we'll talk about some of the cadences that I've seen in terms of meetings in a few moments. But everyone keep thinking about what are the most impactful values that you want to live by personally and that you want your company to live by as well. I love what's in the chat already. I'll start off myself. I've got personal values of respect, openness, honesty, and radical transparency and community. So those are some of the things that I personally value. And the values of my company are ownership, passion, trust, integrity, fearlessness, and transparency. So they do relate pretty closely to my own personally held values. Now, and I think you brought this up really interestingly, Pamela, there's sometimes people talk the talk, but do they walk the walk? And that's really next. I think the first thing is always get your values on paper. What do you care about? And the next thing is finding programs and processes that are going to ensure that you maintain those values. We'll talk about that in just a moment, very briefly at a high level. And then there's lots more content out there for you to dig into. Love a few of these. Zero pollution and waste, JP. Profit to solve. Happy customers. Kathy, broadcast Amsterdam. Build, share, enable, respect, listen, encourage, discovering curiosity. It's all about the broadcasting space and certainly sustainability. Don, values fairness, integrity, and empowerment. I love the word empowerment there. JP, family life, sustainability, happy customers. Hasiba, integrity, sustainability, DEI, and respect. Love it. Integrity, Christina, honesty, authenticity, responsibility, and ownership, kindness, respect, freedom, love. These are great. Annabeth, authentic understanding of each family's needs and values. So what do each person, when they come to you, they have a different story. What do they need? Integrity, thorough, unbiased, respect, and explanatory. I like explanatory, especially for what you do, Annabeth, and really helping people understand their area and their needs. And Christina, honesty and authenticity, responsibility, ownership. Love all of those. We could talk about values forever. I think the point that I want to leave you all with is really think about what is important to you, what is important to your company, and do this often. And I will share some of the things that I've seen work and then some of the pitfalls just at a very high level right now. And I think one of the things I have seen work as we think about building a sustainable team is, and oddly enough, Business Dictionary is the one where that we've gotten this quote, but organizational culture includes an organization's expectations, experiences, philosophy, as well as the values that guide member behavior and is expressed in member self-image, inner workings, interactions with the outside world, and future expectations. I couldn't have said it better myself. These help you attract the right people and shape your corporate narrative. So a couple of key things. How can you build a winning team within your winning culture? Constantly assess progress. Pamela, you were asking about this. What programs? Hold meetings, run surveys. Doodle is free. Other survey tools, SurveyMonkey, et cetera, are free. Run surveys of your customers, of your employees. I think a lot of times we share, we shy away as a society of getting feedback from others. We should be radically transparent. We should ask for feedback. We should be self-critical. And are we doing the right things, both in our professional life as well as in the culture that we are upholding? Run team offsites, really engage with people. KYC, normally KYC stands for know your customer. In this case, I actually mean know your colleagues. What does your team want? And make goals that are relevant to your employees. I think this is critically important. Employees need to feel that they have a purpose. In order to do so, managers should talk with their employees and really understand their goals. What's their individual goals and what's the team goals? And are those aligned with the company vision? If they are, let's double down on them. Let's drill into them. If they're not, let's figure out why and figure out how we can create synergy, or maybe it's not the right fit. So really think through that. I will start to come to a close by talking about some of the pitfalls. Certainly lack of transparency. This is a big one I hear within organizations. People just don't understand what the values are. Are you as a leader clear with your team about what they need to do to be successful? Unrealistic expectations or unclear expectations. What do you care about as an organization? What do you care about this week and completing? What do you care about this month, this year? Is everyone working off the same playbook? Does your entire team have skin in the game? This is an interesting one. When I think about this, how are your employees incentivized to go above and beyond? Do you share some sort of revenue sharing or equity with employees? How do you equitably compensate employees for really going the extra mile, giving it the extra oomph? And potentially it's, do you have the wrong people? Sometimes that happens, especially as you scale and you grow. Maybe you thought the person was great in the hiring process, but do you have the team member that, or do you have a team member, that isn't working towards the same goal as you are? And I think we all really need to be clear on what it is we're striving towards and what really helps us build the right culture and right foundation. Before we wrap up, are there anything else you think needs to be on the list? All right, just a quick one. I know I have about 1 minute before I need to wrap up. I wanted to show Netflix mostly to tell you all to think about going to and reading up on Netflix culture. Netflix is really interesting because they have some of the most, some people call it egregious and scary culture in the world. They cut their employees, so they fire employees, normally the bottom 5 to 15 or 20% every quarter, every year. It's a cutthroat organization, but it's incredibly flat. They have these, focus on freedom, no meeting overload, quick decisions. They have a lot of people making decisions within an organization. They seek excellence. They focus on context over control, so providing the right information. So really think about, this is a great case study. Look up more information about it online. I can't go into more detail about it right now, but I think is really interesting. As we close, I think really think deeply about this. Again, an hour is never sufficient to talk through all of the many inner workings of culture. Mission, vision, values is a really interesting focus and a really interesting area for you all to think about. And a lot of companies don't have vision statements. A lot of companies have a little wishy-washy mission statement. So really think about creating that for you and publicizing it. Publicize it with the people you work with and the people you work for, your customers. Make sure that they're aware of it. So I'd really bring this to a close and say thank you. It has been a pleasure. I believe the next session is soon to begin. Estelle, is there any closing remarks that you wanted to give?
Oh, there we go. I was waiting for the video to connect. No, just really thank you so much. That was absolutely awesome. Great interaction from everyone in the room. Am I allowed to do that? And yeah, so jump into the next session. It's about to start. Thank you so much, Liam. Great to see you.
Feel free to connect, everyone. Let's keep the community and the discussion going. And again, culture is a long-term plan. So everyone keep working on it, and we'll see you all soon.
Cool. Thank you. Ciao.